Big thanks again to Big Whistle Company, who has sent me another cool thing. This is a set of whistles from a company called Syn, out of Australia. And I've heard about these. I've had a couple of folks ask me about them if I've had a chance to try them, and I haven't. And I didn't know anything about them, and, well, spoiler alert, I kind of dig them. These do come as a set, and I'll get to that in a second, but I want to talk about what we would all consider the standard, the D whistle, because that's what I'm playing here. It's very, very responsive. It's got a lot of tonal characteristics and a lot of range, similar to the MK whistle that I reviewed last. You can push this one around a lot more so than the whistles that I'm used to playing. It's also really loud as whistles go. If you're looking for something that'll stand out in a session, I think this might be a good option for you, something certainly to consider. It's got a lot of punch to it, a lot more, again, than what I'm used to. I really like the design of it. It looks finished. It looks well thought out. The engraving here around the key, which we'll get to when we take a look at the other ones. You get this little pin here, which I assume is holding the thing in place, but also has the side effect of not letting it roll off the table, which tends to happen in pubs around the world where these things are often found. The mouthpiece, generally speaking, is in that modern synth-y type design where you've got 3 layers here. Some sort of a polymer, then the aluminum in the middle, and then another polymer again. All kind of perfectly, I would say, joined together. You know, again, seems finished. Seems like a completed, well thought out design. And it's comfortable. It feels comfortable when you're playing it. And that volume, it really does punch through. Especially in the low end. Especially in the low end, it jumps up in the high end too. The low end is stronger than I would expect. That low D in particular is always the quietest note. Well, yeah, basically the quietest note on the whistle, and it's very strong on this. Good crayons come jump out of that. Those rolls and things, it's quick. You don't get a lot of residual air when you change notes. Sometimes it feels like with a cheaper whistle, no offense to the generation, it feels like it's lagging almost, to use the present-day tech parlance. Like it doesn't catch up quickly enough. Whereas something like this, it's just like it stops on a dime. Balance check, it's kind of where I would expect, just slightly north of that B hole. I would say it balances a little bit more towards the mouthpiece, not noticeably so, or certainly not uncomfortably so, I would say. Slightly more than the ones I'm used to, slightly less if you're used to something like a synth style whistle. A little bit more top heavy than others, but not really noticeably so. Let's do the obligatory tuning check here and just see how we do. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't bother those top couple of notes on any whistle, but yeah, it's in tune. It's very, very, very solid. Not that I would expect anything else from something in this category, in this price range, which, let's mention that since we haven't got to that. The set of whistles runs about €150 last I checked. Prices change, of course, but that's about what we're looking at. And with that, you get, well, a couple of things. Obviously, the D whistle, the D head joint, and then a set of interchangeable bodies. You get a B flat. Yeah, that's not going to work. A C body, and then an E flat, all in this, handy little pouch for all 4 of them. And they're all interchangeable. You can just pop this off and switch it onto any of them. Interestingly enough, the slidey bit is on the head joint rather than over here. Unusual, but kind of cool. Seems to work. Yep, works perfectly well. And then that's got a bit more, kind of like a Glenn Schultz water weasel, which I used to play a bunch. Different sound, remarkably different sound, I would say. significantly different. It's almost like it's, I don't know, rounder, softer somehow. It doesn't have that same bite, the same punch. Now, I guess that's really true of all B-flat whistles. That's sort of a characteristic of that and why people like it, I suppose. I'm just surprised that it makes such a significant change using the same head joint when everything else is the same. Let's see how that applies on the C whistle. Set it basically the same spot. That one's still got that same bright crispness to it. Well, maybe split the difference. It's kind of in between. Interesting. Boy, those triplets you get in the second octave really jump out. That punchiness is really solid. Let's see on the E flat, which, full disclosure, I'm not a big fan of anything higher than the key of D because my fingers are too big and this is going to give me weird things. Let's say. Actually kind of sweet. It's really kind of nice. Boy, that's got a really bright sound. I guess also true of E-flat whistles in general, but very crisp, very punchy. Woo. Yeah, the usual problem that I face with E-flat and higher is amplified in this whistle, which is an interesting point of discussion, I think. One thing that I've noticed in trying out some of these new whistles is that the larger bore, the larger diameter whistles will require accompanyingly larger finger holes. Just physics, I assume. Things have to scale, right? The problem with that, at least the way that that manifests to me, is that mostly in the top two fingers, the A and the B finger here, they're going to jam up and I'm going to get this contact. And that absolutely drives me crazy. I'm definitely getting it down here as well, but somehow that just doesn't bother me as much. This bit here drives me nuts. I have literal nightmares about playing a gig and my fingers don't fit on the whistle and I'm having to just like figure it out and it just doesn't work and it's terrifying. It sucks. So I've noticed that with the larger bore whistles like the MK that I reviewed recently. That one in particular was not narrow enough to cause me a problem to be noticeable. This one, I still have a bit of a gap there, so it's okay. It fits. The E-flat, that's right out. There's no way I could do that. And again, it does, my fingers do kind of jam up here a little bit, but that's not really a big deal to me. Now, I do realize this is a me problem, not a you problem, or most of the world problem, probably, but it's something that enters into my mind, and if it does enter into your mind, something to consider with these. Compare that to the bog standard generation where, you know, at least for me, I've got gaps between all my fingers. None of my fingers are touching, which makes me very happy. I like that. And you'll notice that's the only negative I have to say about it, which again, more of a me problem than anything else. I really do like these. I like the design of them. They look great. They sound great. They're very responsive, and you do get the benefit of a lot of different options. That's a very common question that I get. What whistle key should I get after I get the key of D? Well, this is going to solve that for you. It's going to give you some variety right out of the gate for a pretty reasonable price. Like I said, 150 euro, 165 US, somewhere in that ballpark, something like that. You get a lot for it. Here's my caveat about interchangeable head joint whistles. I used to tour with a set. I played with some Cesados where the head joint would come off and I'd have to switch. I played with a set of Water Weasels by Glenn Schultz that were PVC, and I did that between a D and a C and a B flat, I think. And tragically, as I was doing that one time in a hurry, the wall of the PVC pipe broke. Now, you're not going to have that problem with this whistle. This is metal, this is very sturdy, won't be an issue. But if you are in a hurry and you need to switch between keys, it's something to consider because it is an inconvenience, and then you're going to have to make sure you're in tune and all that. So that's why I don't ever bother with it on a touring basis on stage anymore. I want to have each whistle kind of ready to go. If you're not in a hurry, this is a fantastic solution because each one of these does sound really nice. They sound great, and it's a simple thing. You get it all kind of packaged in here together and at a very reasonable price. So thanks again to the folks from Big Whistle for shipping these out. I'm really glad to get a chance to try something that I've had my eye on, or that other folks have had their eye on and have tipped me off to, that I haven't had a chance to play yet. So again, thanks a million for the opportunity. A couple more reviews down the way as well. They're on the list, so stick around and hopefully we'll get to those soon. See y'all. Cheers.